What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, it's watchlist time ahead of Game Week 9. So I'm going to go through some players that have kind of caught my eye or that I'm keeping an eye on. I've got good fixtures coming up, all that usual good stuff. There's a few players to go through. It's quite an interesting weekend for sure. So if you do enjoy it, give it a like. Keep hitting that subscribe button. We're less than 7,000 to go now until 250,000. So please do keep hitting that subscribe button. Otherwise, let's talk about the first player. So all we've done for the first 8 game weeks is pretty much talk about Chelsea defenders. It feels like we've constantly done that. Obviously, Alonso started off really well. A lot of us were slow to get to him. Then when people did get to him, he was dropped from the side. Chilwell comes in. Obviously, some of us went for Azpilicueta. Rudiger then got injured. So it's actually been a bit annoying to not kind of be on that team that's got a lot of clean sheets so far. And this is just another good excuse, really, to talk about those Chelsea defenders again. Like, Chilwell has to be on the watch list. He is so good. And the thing I like about him is, and it happened quite a bit last year, is he's often like just waiting on the back post for crosses. So even if Reece James starts, it's almost like he's crossing to the left and Chilwell's there. He's more likely to score you a few goals, and he's already got 2 in 2, right? So the first 2 games he's played against Southampton and Brentford, he's got 2 goals. Now, I'm not expecting that to obviously continue, but he is very attacking. If you missed the Brentford game, the amount of times he popped up in like a number 10, number 9 position was incredible. And Azpilicueta is great at right wing back as well, but it's not quite the same, right? There's obviously... you want an assurity of starts. I can't sit here and say that Ben Chilwell is definitely nailed on, but I do think there's probably a little bit less chance that he comes off the bench when he is benched compared to, say, Reece James. So I don't think either pick is bad. You obviously, realistically, the defender you want is whoever starts at left wing back or right wing back every single game. But the problem is we know there's not a guarantee that they play every single match, right? We just accept that when we buy these players. And because I've already got Azpilicueta, I feel like I can maybe add a little bit more of a riskier pick. And obviously Norwich at home, Newcastle away, Burnley at home are really good. But I think if Reece James gets benched, there is a chance he comes on. If Chilwell gets benched, it's very unlikely, I would say, that Alonso comes off the... Alonso gets subbed off, unless he's having a really, really bad game. But he hasn't played that badly so far this season. So Chilwell has to be on there. The numbers look good. Obviously, we're on a very, very small sample size, and there is a chance that he doesn't even start the next game. They do have a Champions League match in between Game Week 8 and Game Week 9. So if Chilwell starts that Champions League game, then suddenly it looks like Alonso might start against Norwich. But if Alonso starts midweek, then there's a good chance Chilwell starts at the weekend. Now, that's not going to be an exact science. There's going to be times where Chilwell will play, then he'll play the Champions League, then he'll also play at the weekend as well. So you can't necessarily second guess it. But if you've got a good bench, which a lot of us do, like this week, for example, I'm benching Laporte and Livramento. So I've got good players on the bench where I could bring Chilwell in as well. It is a bit of a luxury transfer, but definitely keep him on him because although he's not nailed, right, I do think he's first choice. Now, there is a big difference there for teams like Man City and for teams like Chelsea. But in Chelsea's best 11, Chilwell is part of that, in my opinion. But it doesn't mean he's going to start every single week. But when you've scored 2 goals and you've also got a clean sheet against Brentford as well, big haul, you can't help but kind of notice him. And so he is on the watch list. I've got Azpilicueta, but that's a little bit boring. At some point, I'm going to look to probably bring Chilwell in. So I know everybody is loving Vardy right now, but I want to talk about Iheanacho. Now, bearing in mind, this is for a watch list for me, right? It's not necessarily the best players to buy. We'll do that in other videos this week. But I'm not looking at Jamie Vardy because basically I don't have a space for him. Like, this is my team. I've got no money in the bank. Jimenez and Antonio, obviously, there's no money to upgrade from there. I mean, why would I get rid of Jimenez before Leeds anyway? And Antonio versus Spurs is fine. So it's not like I'm necessarily desperate to get rid of him this week anyway. And obviously, Lukaku's got Norwich at home. So why would I sell him for Vardy? So it's funny because last year I had Vardy at the end of last season. I constantly got comments about why have you got him? Why have you got him? And this year it's the complete opposite. I don't have him. Now I'm having to kind of justify why I don't have him. Obviously, he's a great option, but at 10.5 million or 10.6, whatever he is now, he's just too difficult to fit into my team right now. At some point, I will sell Lukaku. It might be for Vardy, but that won't be this week, and it won't be next week either. Whereas Iheanacho is much more of a comfortable price at 7 million, and he's now started the last 2 games. So I think he's got, I'm just going to double check here. In fact, I can just bring up the screen and show you. I think he's got 3 returns in the last 3. 2 assists, and 1 goal, and he's also started the last 2. Now, Leicester didn't beat Palace, but I think they played a bit better, and obviously they didn't beat Burnley either, but a really good result against Man United makes me hope that they might keep Iheanacho in the team. We know his numbers are always good. Again, 0.43 expected goals per 90, 0.42 expected assists per 90 is incredible. He won't keep those numbers up. They will come down a bit. But if you look over his career, he's always had really good underlying expected data. It's just that he never really gets the minutes. So what happened last year, he got the minutes and he absolutely smashed the league and we all had to get him in. It could be the same this season as well. And Antonio to him is a genuine consideration at some point. Now, I'm not saying that I will do it this week because I think Antonio versus Spurs at home is probably okay. I know Spurs did well yesterday, but that was obviously against Newcastle, right? It's going to be more difficult against West Ham and against Antonio. But Brentford away, Leeds away and Watford at home in the next 5 with Arsenal at home as well. A good set of fixtures. It's why people are looking to bring in Jamie Vardy, which is fair enough. But Iheanacho just offers a lot more value than Vardy does. It's not to say that he's going to outscore him. It's a bit like Hwang versus Jimenez. I don't expect Iheanacho to outscore Vardy, especially when he doesn't have penalties. But for the price, £3.5 million saving, that's a lot. And it's a lot easier to fit Iheanacho into the team. The big question, of course, is will he keep his place? And that is just something that I can't answer. Obviously, they do have to slightly change formation to get both of them in, play kind of a 2 up front with him and Vardy. But it worked quite well last year. And maybe Brendan Rodgers is realising that it's going to work well again this year. I think when you go out and beat Man United 4-2, you're probably not going to change the team up too much. And with those fixtures coming up, I really like it. So he's firmly on the watches. I don't think I can justify Antonio to Iheanacho this week. And obviously Arsenal at home probably isn't the week to do it. But maybe in a couple of weeks that could happen. Also, there's matches again this week. There could be injuries. There could be news in the press conference that one of my strikers is injured. And then possibly that's the time to get Iheanacho in then. The risk is, of course, the minutes. There are other players like Tony, for example, is definitely someone that's firmly on my watch list that I could go for instead. He's a little bit cheaper. He does have penalties. He is nailed. He is going to play 90 minutes. And Brentford are looking really good. And they have good fixtures as well. So Iheanacho is not a dead cert. But I think when he's played 2 games in a row, for the value that he offers, how good his numbers are, you have to put him on a watch list. You just have to. Right? Don't doubt him. If he gets minutes, he will get points. Simple as that. Guess who's back? Harry Kane is back, right? All that narrative about he's like head's gone. He wants to be at Man City. He's not the same player. He's in a goal drought. He's going to have a bad season. Suddenly he plays Newcastle United. He gets a goal and everything's fine again, right? So I promise you I'm not knee-jerking on him. He was already kind of coming onto my watch list. I mean, I spoke about Son last week and people made some very good points. I'm talking about shifting the money from Lukaku to Son in a few weeks. Why not just go straight to Kane in a one kind of game week move, which I like, right? It only takes one transfer rather going to Son to shift the funds around will take at least 2. So Harry Kane's firmly on the watch list. Now, I hate to kind of be a broken record, but fixtures do matter. He did well because he played Newcastle. It's exactly the same reason that getting rid of Lukaku is absolutely crazy before Norwich, by the way. So he does have some more difficult fixtures coming up. Like, we can say that, you know, Man United are really bad right now and Everton are conceding and West Ham could be there, you know, Kane could score and about his records or whatnot. But at the end of the day, this next 3 fixtures coming up are more difficult than Newcastle. So I don't think he's necessarily suddenly like must have in our teams. And I don't think, unless you've got Ronaldo, for example, you're probably not going to make that straight swap right now. But from kind of game week 11, possibly, maybe game week 12 onwards, he's firmly on the watch list. And to be honest, I don't unless he gets injured or there's some big injuries in my team, I don't see why I won't be bringing him in, to be honest. I even tweeted before, I think it was before the deadline even started, to someone and basically said that right now, he's probably going to be my captain in game week 12. Now, it is a difficult call. I'm not saying 100% because Salah's got Arsenal at home that same week. But something big would have to happen for me to change my mind. Like, we know what a great player is. He doesn't just seem to me like one of those players that's going to sulk all season because he didn't get the move. We know how much he likes personal records. And okay, the numbers aren't fantastic, but they're not that bad either. And they have had a couple of difficult fixtures. He hasn't played that well, right? I get it. For the whole season, in the games he's played, he's not been brilliant. But he's not been that bad either, right? I mean, about 17, 18 days ago, he scores a hat-trick, right? Yes, okay, it was in Europe. Yes, it was not their hardest fixture, but this is not a guy that's forgotten how to score goals, right? Now, okay, getting back to the fixtures, would I bring him in the West Ham away? Like, again, for my team, it's pretty difficult to justify getting him in right now, and the same for Man United. Like, I know the narrative right now is that Man United are awful. They're a team to target. I mean, I've even seen people saying that Man United is an easier team than maybe Norwich right now, which is absolutely crazy talk. But I know what's going to happen with Solskjaer. He's going to put Fred and McTominay McTominay in. He's going to ditch Pogba or Rashford from the team. He's going to have to get rid of them and play Fred and McTominay, go defensive and play counter-attacking. And so therefore I just wouldn't bring Kane in for the next 2 fixtures. But if I needed to make a move in game week 11, I'd be happy to bring him in against Everton away. Again, not the most ideal fixture, but not one that would massively put me off. Otherwise, game week 12 is where it's at. For those of you that are thinking about him, I don't think you should sell Lukaku to him. If you've got Vardy, you're obviously keeping him as well. So we often identify players and then we're a bit annoyed we can't get them in straight away. It's almost like we want to get ahead of the crowd, but sometimes it's worth waiting. I think it's worth a wait now. Maybe if you've got Ronaldo, you can make that switch. But again, I think Ronaldo to Lukaku or Ronaldo to Vardy is a better move right now. But soon Harry Kane is going to be big. If he keeps scoring, look, Son is great, but last season, Harry Kane was the better option between the two, and I think that's the case this season as well. If you can fit both in, brilliant. But if it's one or the other, I think it's got to be Harry Kane. More shots, penalties as well. He's the one to get, and he's a straight swap from Lukaku or Ronaldo. Pretty easy to do. So I've currently got no Man City attackers in my team. I don't particularly like it because you know they can put a lot of goals past pretty much any team in the league. So every single week you're a little bit worried about what they're going to do. I feel like I've survived the Burnley game already. I was never going to get Kevin De Bruyne. Foden got some points, but it was just an assist. But going forward, that I definitely kind of want them because the fixtures, okay, on a fixture ticker, they might not look that great, but this is Man City. They can put plenty of goals past pretty much any team in the league. And the fixtures are quite good kind of all the way over like November and December as well. So I definitely want, basically, Gundogan's on my watch list because I want to keep an eye on him, right? I'm not sitting here and pretending to you that I'm going to buy him this week because I'm almost certainly not. He's only just back from injury and he was in the squad at the weekend, but he didn't get on the pitch. So Pep might kind of integrate him back into the side slowly. But he has been, you know, especially when De Bruyne got injured last year, he has been fairly integral to that Man City side. Look, don't get me wrong, they can win without him, but he has been extremely good under Pep Guardiola. He makes runs into the box. We know he can score goals. We saw it last season. I think possibly he could get back to that this year. Like 0.29 expected goals per 90, 0.3 expected assists, decent numbers. And he does like to get into the box. Obviously, he creates chances as well. The big question for me, why he's on the watch list and why I'm keeping an eye on him is, where is he going to play? Right? And does he play kind of week in, week out, which we saw earlier on in the season? I know, again, it's Man City, so the chances are at some point he gets a rest. They've got De Bruyne fit. Bernardo Silva's playing really well. He can play in a number 8 position too. But someone's got to play in that number 9 position while Torres is out and they haven't got another striker. Will Jesus come back into that spot and Mahrez will play on the right or Sterling on the right? Sterling played against Burnley as a number 9. Will he continue in that spot? We just don't know. We know Gundogan, though, is very good in that position. He was last year. He played as a number 9. He also played as a kind of a free 8 as well. And he did well in both positions. So he's quite versatile in that Pep team. And I've just got a sneaking suspicion that Pep is going to get him in more often than not. While everyone's looking at like Foden and Grealish, which is perfectly fine to do, by the way, and way more exciting than Gundogan. If he starts getting regular minutes, he could be just as good as an option. And also he's a bit cheaper as well at 7.2 million. So right now, I don't think, you know, last week I said I would go Foden. If I was buying a player this week, it would probably be Foden as well from Man City. Despite the fact that, yes, I've got no idea whether he starts this week before anyone has. But I definitely want to keep an eye on Gundogan because he was brilliant at times last year. I started with him this year. Okay, it didn't go too well, but he has got a couple of returns already. And if he gets that number 9 position, he could be absolute gold. So don't completely write it off. Let's see what happens against Brighton at home, Brighton away, sorry. And then maybe from Crystal Palace onwards, could start looking at him. So let me know in the comments below what you think about the players that I've selected on my watch list for this coming week and obviously the next few weeks as well. And let me know as well who is on your watch list, which players kind of caught your eye this weekend. Do give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Please do that. Hit that subscribe button as well if you are new around here. And a big shout out to Marcus A and Jeffrey R who have signed up to Patreon since I last did the shout outs. If you want to check that out, there's a link to that in the description below. Otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow with transfer tips. We'll have team selection on Wednesday, so we'll talk about a few more different players that have not been mentioned in this video then, especially on transfer tips tomorrow. There's a lot of players to talk through that people are either wanting to buy or wanting to sell, and I don't think it's necessarily a good move this week anyway. But we'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you Wednesday. I'll be back then. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.